The old man in room 408 looked half asleep when I passed him that afternoon, just stepping out to grab coffee. But as I walked by, he reached out, caught my sleeve, and whispered something that stopped my heart. "Run from your wife," he said, his voice shaking. "I heard her talking to her lover. She's already planned to take everything from you." At first I thought he was confused, sedated, delusional. But his eyes, sharp, sober, and certain, said otherwise. "Hi, my name is Caleb Foster, and 2 weeks ago my wife was admitted to the hospital for what we thought was a routine appendectomy. I'd been by her side every day. We'd been married 12 years. I knew every look she gave, every twitch in her voice, or at least I thought I did. But that night, after I returned to her room, something felt different. She seemed startled to see me back so soon. Her phone screen lit up as I entered, a man's name I didn't recognize. She clicked it away fast. I didn't ask. Not yet. Instead, I smiled, set her coffee down beside her, and said nothing. Because in that moment, something shifted in me. I couldn't unhear the old man's warning. And when I finally opened her phone the next morning while she was sleeping, everything changed. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I just took one deep breath and began the quietest war of my life. The first message was harmless enough. A heart emoji. A miss you. I can't wait till he's gone. Gone? I scrolled further. She hadn't just been chatting with this man, she'd been plotting. His name was Darren. According to the text, he worked at her firm in a different branch. They'd been careful, keeping it digital, meeting in safe places, while I thought she was out late, handling clients. But that wasn't the worst of it. In one thread, dated just a week before her appendix burst, she'd written, "Once the papers are filed, I get the house, the car, and half his pension. Don't worry, it's all in motion." He replied with a laughing gif and said, "Just remember what I told you, be sweet until it's signed." 12 years. We'd built everything together. She used to trace the lines of my palm and call them hers. Now she was making plans to gut my life like a spreadsheet. I locked the phone, slipped it back under her pillow, and walked outside into the corridor. My chest was tight, but not with panic, with clarity. She thought she was ahead. But I'd spent my entire life being underestimated. My father used to say, "The quiet ones? They're always the most dangerous." I wasn't going to scream or cry or storm out. I was going to listen, watch, document, and when the moment came, she would never see it coming. I went back the next day with a gift for the old man, a real cup of coffee, not the hospital kind. He smiled when he saw me, like he'd been expecting me. "You read the messages, didn't you?" he asked. I nodded once. He leaned back, hands folded over the blanket like a priest who just delivered a warning no one wanted to believe. "People talk too loud when they think no one's listening," he said. "They forget hospital walls are thin. And I'm hard of sight, not hearing." I asked him what he'd heard, word for word. He didn't blink. "She told someone she's going to fake a breakdown, said it'll get you to sign over power of attorney. Said you'd be too loyal to say no." My stomach turned. My wife was playing chess while I was bringing her soup. But I wasn't checkmated yet. That evening, I drove home and pulled the thick accordion file out of the closet, the one with our property deeds, retirement accounts, passwords, life insurance. I started scanning every document she might try to leverage. I changed every password, froze the credit, printed new copies of everything, and handed them to my lawyer the next morning. I wasn't going to let her take the house I built, or the money I earned, or the future I'd planned. And I wasn't going to confront her. Not until she walked into her own trap. The hospital stay dragged on. What should have been a quick recovery turned into 5 extra days of complications. But I noticed something strange. My wife didn't want to go home. She kept insisting she was still in pain, asking for stronger meds, barely making eye contact with me. When the doctor made rounds, she played fragile. When the nurses came in, she acted confused. Then one evening, I saw her writing in a notebook when she thought I was asleep in the corner. She was scribbling dates, numbers, and something that looked like a timeline. I pretended to shift in the recliner and caught a word on the page: transfer. The next day, I came back early and waited down the hall before stepping into her room. She was on the phone, laughing softly. "He still doesn't suspect a thing," she whispered. "End of the month, it's done. I already have the forms ready, I just need him to sign one thing." She paused, then added, "And yes, I'll fake the breakdown if I have to." I stepped away before she noticed. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was premeditated. Later that night, I pulled a nurse aside. A young woman named Jasmine, kind, quiet, observant. I asked her a simple question. Can you do me a favor and keep that notebook safe for me? She nodded. Jasmine had seen things. Nurses always do. I didn't need confrontation. I needed proof. And very soon I was going to need witnesses. The next morning, a nurse wheeled in some forms for me to review and sign. Just hospital authorizations, she said. Standard stuff. But one glance at the first page made my blood go cold. Buried among routine paperwork was a document labeled Limited Financial Power of Attorney. Pre-filled. My name. Her name. Dated and ready. If I had signed, she'd gain legal access to our accounts, investments, even my pension. She wasn't even discharged yet. And she was already trying to own me on paper. I smiled at the nurse, thanked her politely, and said I'd take a look after I'd had my coffee. As soon as she left, I took out my phone and snapped pictures of every page. Later that day I called my lawyer again. Print these out and log them, I told him. And check the notary line, it's blank. He whistled when he saw the photos. She's not just conniving. She's sloppy. That night, I brought my wife flowers and kissed her forehead. She smiled weakly and squeezed my hand. I squeezed back and asked, "How much longer till you're feeling strong again?" She told me maybe a week. Maybe 2. Good, I said. Because I needed just one more week to finish what I'd started. I'd already contacted a forensic accountant, moved half my retirement to a frozen account, and placed holds on anything she might try to touch. She thought she was luring me into her trap. She hadn't realized. She'd already stepped into mine. 3 days later, my wife was discharged from the hospital, suddenly and without explanation. The doctor seemed confused too. Said her vitals were fine. Pain was self-reported. She smiled as I helped her into the car. Fragile, grateful, like a woman who'd been saved by love. I played the part. The caring husband, the trusting fool. That night, she left her notebook out again. This time, I didn't just take a picture. I took the whole thing. It had pages of notes, not just about me but about Darren. Plans. Timelines. Property transfer dates. Even a meeting scheduled with a divorce attorney. She'd written it all down like a checklist. So I added my own entry. A sticky note on page 4. This was witnessed. You left the door open. Again. And then I photocopied it. The next morning, I visited room 408. The old man, Mr. Langley, was sitting up in bed. He looked better. I need one favor, I told him. You said you heard her talking. Would you be willing to say that, on paper? He nodded without hesitation. Already did, he said and handed me a folded note. Inside, a full written statement, signed, dated, and co-signed by Nurse Jasmine, who'd heard the conversation too. I had screenshots, paper trails, a witness, a hospital staff member, her handwriting, everything. All I had to do now was let her make the first move. She wanted to play legal games? She was about to learn what checkmate really felt like. She served me papers on a Tuesday morning, exactly 2 weeks after she left the hospital. I didn't say a word. I just opened the envelope at the dining table while she watched, pretending to be concerned. It's just a formality, she said softly. We both deserve to move on. The papers were aggressive. She wanted the house, my vehicle, 60% of my retirement, full ownership of our joint account, and in bold, highlighted letters, spousal support for 10 years. I looked up at her and smiled. I'll have my lawyer review it. She smiled back. Of course. No rush. She really believed she'd won. 3 days later, her attorney, a clean-cut man named Grant Bellamy, walked into mediation with a confident smirk. We believe the terms are fair, he said. My lawyer opened the folder I'd handed him that morning. Inside, phone screenshots, photos of the forged power of attorney, the notebook, the written statement from Mr. Langley, Jasmine's co-signature, my wife's text history to Darren. Grant's face tightened page by page. He asked for a private word with her. They stepped into the hallway. I could hear her voice through the wall. He wasn't supposed to know. When they came back, the smirk was gone. I believe, Grant said carefully, we may need to revise the proposal. I didn't gloat. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, you asked for everything. And I was about to give it to her, all of it. We met again 1 week later, this time in court. Her posture was different now. No soft smiles. No mutual respect performance. Just a tight jaw and a blazer too crisp for comfort. The judge reviewed the updated terms. My wife had suddenly agreed to withdraw all financial claims. No spousal support. No property. No pension. The joint account would be split equally, after an audit. And the house. What? She'd signed everything quietly once she realized her notebook alone could bury her. The judge looked up. Is this correct, Mrs. Foster? My wife nodded without speaking. Her lawyer answered for her. Yes, Your Honor. My client acknowledges full consent. It was over. Afterward, in the parking lot, she followed me to my car. You didn't have to destroy me, she said, her voice shaking. I turned to her, calm. You wrote your plan in a hospital room. You counted on silence. You counted on trust. She stared at me, searching for the man she once fooled. Why didn't you just leave? I looked at her like a stranger. Because you wanted everything, remember? I just gave it to you. Then I got in my car and drove home. Later that night, I opened a letter from the hospital. Mr. Langley had passed. Inside the envelope was a note. Good men are rare. Stay sharp. Stay kind. I folded the note and placed it beside my deeds, my accounts, my future. And in the quiet of my home, I finally breathed. Alone. But free.